Welcome to Sterling Scalability show, where we'll be talking about trends, updates, or anything that will help you scale your business. My name is Aviza,
And I'm Susan.
and we are your big sisters for small business owners because we believe that you guys deserve the same sharp strategy that Fortune 500 companies pay millions for. So, again, we wanted to thank you. This is our third episode. Yay!
We're so consistent.
Right. Yeah. So thank you so much for subscribing. And if you haven't done it yet, please do so. And also follow us on all our socials. And before we start to our topic today, so how are you, Susan, this week?
Yeah, you know what? I'm good this week. I have been clearing my head. I got back into my pool routine. For those who don't know, I try to swim all the time. So I'm back in my pool routine. That's why I look like a drowned rat right now. It's just some swim hair. The way the day went. But yeah, I mean, I today I was out and about. I'm on a couple of advisory boards, so I had an advisory board meeting today, just talking about marketing. And actually, it was really cool because I kind of got to like resurface the dying art of the newsletter and its impact. And like, I know people talk about owning your list, but like a newsletter is really impactful. So yeah, it's been a good week so far. How about you?
Awesome. Me, I just got uh, I went to a remote island last weekend, and I just get back yesterday, Tuesday, and it was really fun. I'm sorry, Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday. So it was really fun because I get to be off the grid for like what 4 days, and after it's funny because when I had the internet already, and then I scroll through my Facebook, everything's AI generated, like the photos and the texts,
Everything.
everything. So, coming from being, having no phone for a couple of days, and then seeing this content, it was really a different it's something else. So yeah, it's actually a great segue though to our
It
topic
is
for
great.
today.
It is a great segue into our topic for the day. So, AI is going to cost you is our topic for the day, or as I like to call it, stop fucking using AI for everything. Um, and we're gonna add these in post, but like, if you have an event flyer and you went into ChatGPT and you told it to make these, they're hideous. Knock it off. Most of the people that I talk to will say, if your poster is AI generated, I'm not going. It doesn't take that much extra effort to go to Canva and make yourself one. Knock it the hell off with these. Why are they so grainy, Ibiza? Do they have sandpaper on them? Like, I have so many questions.
Yeah, I saw that too. Some of them.
Ugh, some of them are really bad. And you know what? The ones that are using people in them, the fake generated people, this matters today. So we're going to call this a guide from a non-guru on how to help save your audience and maybe some money. So one of the things that we can talk about is the speed of information, right? But now it's like the speed of like rules around AI. Obviously, AI is helping a lot of people do a lot more, and I embrace that. If you're building it with your processes, et cetera, et cetera. But you've got to be careful because there are so many rules coming out now at speed of light. We're going to talk about a couple of important dates for you to note, a couple of important dollar amounts for you guys to note, and a big firm warning from me that if you are using AI to generate your marketing content, you may be in trouble soon. So right now, the innovations that are coming out of AI are crazy. Like I watched Google I/O today and yesterday, and like just seeing all of that. There's so many cool things that we can do with it. Absolutely, I agree. I'm not an AI hater. I'm just a practical person. Like I lean into my skepticism when something seems to be too good to be true, and is, and so what I'm reminded of in this like phase of things is way back in the day when I was just blogging. We started on GeoCities. We moved into I ran a couple coupon blogs, and so I had like this mommy circle group, and we were before the FTC had a bunch of rules about how to disclose that you were advertising. It's funny because I feel like those rules need to come around again today. You know, you see all these like dating advice gurus pop up and they're recommending these apps, and I don't see hashtag ad anywhere on that shit. And I remember when we didn't have to have it because the FTC added that during that whole period where I was blogging. So like you started having to disclose that something was an ad, that something was paid, that something was given to you for free. So, you know, I watched that kind of change happen. And this AI, like integration of rules and legislation and laws, it's coming in mostly on a state to state by state level in the US. Obviously, the EU is kind of groundbreaking their own rules with it. But it is definitely a game changer in the industry. And it's something that we've got to pay attention to. So bottom line, people don't want to be tricked. And we're going to have to start paying for people feeling tricked. And that's kind of where we're at. So you ready to talk about some dates on the calendar?
Yeah, sure. I mean, people doesn't realize the effect or the cost this AI generated content are doing in their business. So yeah, take it away.
And it costs attention too, right, Ibiza? Like if your stuff looks at look, I know we're all tired of making slide decks that look unique. I know we're tired of making slide decks that look pretty, and we just want to lean into AI. But you can tell when someone's just using AI to make a slide deck and not adding any pizzazz. You can tell when people are using AI to make creatives. You can tell. And you're losing attention because once you look like everything else, you know, it used to be 7 seconds. It's 3 seconds. Yeah. So, exactly. But more than attention, it's money. So we're going to start off by talking about the money. So I wanted to talk about a couple of dates that are coming up. I've been doing some research, and one thing that really stood out to me is there is new legislation coming up on June 9th of this year, June 9th, 2026 in New York. It's called, it's New York's AI Transparency and Advertising Act. Save that date, June 9th. So basically, and I'll kind of like deep dive a little bit into this one because this one really matters. Like if you're running meta ads right now and targeting the United States, this is you. It doesn't matter who you are, you're running ads, this is you. So the New York Transparency Act, New York is the first state in the US to pass something like this and require this. But essentially, if you're using an AI generated, I think it's referred to as a synthetic performer. So an AI generated person or person-like creature, a figure in your ads created by AI, then the business has to clearly disclose that that was generated by AI. This law does not just mean that you are a business in New York. It means that you are a business whose ads land in front of someone who lives in New York State. And so even though I'm in Georgia, I run ads from here. If I'm running ads with an AI generated person and I don't say that these ads could have AI generated people in them, then that can cost me $1,000 for my first infraction and $5,000 in civil penalties after that. Everyone. That's a really expensive cost for a quick little, hey, GPT, make me a thing. And that's just in New York. Other dates to keep an eye on. California has a very similar, kind of legislation coming out. Theirs is actually that AI tools have to be watermarked. Their content must be watermarked. So if it's being generated by an AI program, it has to be watermarked clearly. Knowingly stripping that watermark is going to cost them $5,000. Also on August 2nd, you've got the EU AI transparency rules. So this is around chatbots, which, if your company is, reach is wider than the United States, this really matters. A lot of people are targeting EU markets as well. So really big, important thing here is that if your chatbot is AI, and I know that we've spent like the last year exhaustively listening to these agencies go, people won't even know they're talking to AI. They do. You are not that good. They do. But now you have to say you are talking to an AI chatbot. So that phone call that's picking up, like if your reach is going into the EU market, you have to disclose it. AI content that depicts real people, must be disclosed, and it applies again to anyone who's reaching the EU audience. Then there's the California AI Transparency Act, like I talked about. And then the other date to save here is going to be December 2nd, 2026. So this is going to be the EU watermarking requirement, which is that machine readable labels must be on AI images, audio, and video for systems that are already on the market. So, again, for me, it's like it harkens back to when we had to like disclose that we were advertising for someone. But this is like, if it is not a person, if it is AI generated, you're going to have to disclose that AI helped you. And so if you're not already building that muscle and just getting into that habit, you've got to start doing it.
To be clear, this is just for ads, right?
No, this is for any content. This is for,
Oh.
I mean, it's a mix of it. So like for New York State, their transparency, that's for ads. But the California AI Transparency Act, that's just for content. So the EU chatbot, that's for anything. That doesn't have to be a chatbot that's selling you. That can just be an AI assisted agent. Anything AI is really like, again, right now, this is all just happening and coming out. There's more things that are on the line as well. Advertising is the first place that I really know it gets impacted, because you think about it, like ads are the things that have the most reach because we're putting our capital behind it a lot of times. So for right now, the New York Act is for ads that are reaching people, but that's not just Meta ads. That can be Google ads. That can be things that you're putting in the magazine. That can be, I mean, anything that's an advertisement. So
any ad placement. Mm-hmm.
yeah, and again, that's $1,000 civil penalty the first time and $5,000 every time after. So these are like, the stakes are money. The stakes are your profit. So careful now. And again, there are more dates. Maybe what we can do is we'll get, if people are interested, drop a comment and let us know that you're interested in more of these dates, and I'll put some more of my nerd notes together and share them with you. But there's risks that come along, with all of that. And this is just mostly images that I'm talking about. Obviously, the chatbot is outside of it, but the thing is that like content is rolled into this too. People are using AI for a lot of content. It's something I ran into myself multiple times, working just with agencies who are doing like these blog things. And I'll kind of get into it because on May 15th, Google actually rolled out another rule about AI in their spam rules, but we'll get to that in a second. But the thing too about the fully AI generated images and content that's coming out, whether it's used for ads or whether it's used for that, is that inherently you can't own it, right? Rulings in the United States have been pretty clear that like if your content is generated by AI, you don't own it. So I know a lot of like manufacturers, like if your logo from start to finish, your brand from start to finish, your logo, etc., was generated by AI. So a robot made your logo, you might not own that, which means that your competitors can come right on in behind you and buy that out from under you. They can recreate it, human made, and then own it, and you would have no claim. That's even like the stuff that people are putting up in their windows. So big changes on the AI storefront there.
Yeah.
And then, just talking about some of the technical risks here, like I said, output. The other thing is that you could get in trouble for copyright scraping. You've got to remember that like these AIs are large language models. I said this in the last episode, I think, but I'll keep saying it. But they're basically just a collection of all of the information that they can gather from the internet. Not all of that is true. Not all of that is real. And not all of that belongs to you. Some of that stuff is copyright. Like, as a marketer, when I'm going and making content, and like, for example, if I'm doing something about a national event and I want a historical photo, I'm going to go to Google Images, right? And I'm going to select all tools, and I'm going to select the proper privacy, right? Like that I can use this for commercial use. And obviously, when you click that button, you're very limited to what you can use for free. And we'll kind of talk about a little more of that down there. But you risk getting sued for violating other people's copyright because AI is scraping other people's content without factoring in that rule. So, there's a lot of ownership gaps. There's a lot of shortfalls to it. There's a lot of risk. So, if you're pulling a likeness in an AI generated person, for example, and, that likeness was someone's picture, and they did not consent to that, there's a whole nother section of litigation. And I imagine we're going to see it. I think I'd have to look this up, but someone recently sued because she found a likeness of herself entirely AI generated selling something. They used her voice, they used her likeness, and she started a lawsuit to protect herself. And this was like a brand that's now running this woman's face, this woman's voice, as if it's theirs. So that's crazy.
Yeah, it's so crazy. I mean, the cost that it will take you, like I feel like we have to still continue, or if you're just starting with your business, you need to continue or to build your brand from scratch, like the old times. Like you don't need to yes, AI, we're not against AI, to be clear, huh? But we just wanted to share with you guys that there are risks that is involved that will cost you a lot of money. So you have to be mindful of using that. And thank you for this research, Susan, because this is the first time that I actually heard of it, and nobody's talking about this, that the risks involved in using AI.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about, and we'll get into it. Like, there's a trust problem that I think a lot of marketers talk about, and I agree with it. You agree with it, Abiza. We're going to jump into that part next. But the thing is like this legislation is all brand new. And again, like it
Mhm.
takes me back to the early aughties when we started seeing all this stuff really like come into play, 2010s. We start seeing the FTC come in and say, you have to disclose that these are ads. You have to disclose that this was given to you for free. You have to disclose, because that was like before the influencer marketplace existed. And now we've kind of gotten used to it. And obviously there's some backpedaling there, but this feels like that moment in tech again, and that moment in the internet growth again. And so it's just, my recommendation is start flexing the muscles that tell you to disclose when you've used AI. Do
Yeah.
that. And also, if you're making if you're making your logo with AI, you need to go and Google it.
Mm.
Number one, see how many things come up. Like, do a Google image search, drop that in there. How many things look exactly like that?
I remember when we were coming up with with a logo, and then you were like, "Oh, somebody had this logo."
Yes, I mean, hey, look, ideas are hard to come by, and you overthink that logo for a minute, and it's just like, this looks like everybody else's. I don't want to do it. So instead, we threw that North Star in there because at the end of the day, it's all about following your North Star.
Yep.
So, and Sterling, bing.
That's
So
all.
So now we'll get into the trust problem. So there is a cost to finance, obviously, and the finance cost and the dates, those dates, again, remember, keep an eye on June 9th. You need to make sure that your ads are updated and disclosing, and Facebook is making it harder and harder and harder to get ads right. So just be careful. Like I would put it in my primary text. I'd put an asterisk, and I would just put some content may be generated by AI, or some content may be AI assisted. I don't know if that'll save our asses, but that's what I'm going to be doing. If my content is AI generated, I keep trying to turn off all those features, but I don't want to get down that rabbit hole. So the other cost, which is the cost that you and I were talking about with these posters and this stuff that's going on, the other cost and the data on it is trust. Consumer trust. This is uncomfortable, but the law is a big risk. But the bigger risk is that your customers are already reacting negatively to AI content. People do not want to be fooled. And people are increasingly becoming skeptical of content that they see on the internet. And they don't want to be tricked. So I pulled some numbers. I looked up some studies. So 71 versus 7, or 31 versus 7, pardon me. When shoppers notice that something is AI generated, so your e-commerce, they see it's AI generated in your marketing, your content, 31% immediately trust you less, whereas 7% might trust you a little more. 31%. So that's a 4-to-1 trust loss. Not worth it. Not worth it. This one's good too. So of consumers who actively use AI, and remember, there's only like a very small percent of people who are actually actively using AI. I think it's ridiculously small, like people who are using it. I think the people who use it think that everybody uses it, but it is still really, really small. I'll have to get statistics on it, and we'll drop it into our socials. But so of consumers who are actively using AI, these are the people who use it, people like me, people like you. 39%. 39% of them say they trust a brand less for using AI generated content. So the people most comfortable using it trust you less because you're using it for content. Again, this is for external content that people can see. Across a separate study, 32% would trust a brand less if its content was AI generated. So we're still in that like 32 to 39% are saying this. Against, and that study had like 15 who said they might trust it more. And then the next one that I thought was really good, 83% of consumers say they've watched a video, they suspect it was AI generated. They say that robotic gestures, unnatural voices, and like flat emotional tones are the giveaway. AI doesn't know how to be spirited. And it can't put three fingers in front of its face
Like
or something
us.
like that. That's right. All this attitude. You're welcome. So, but you know, and that's true. And honestly, we started this show for that reason, right? Abiza, you were saying that like people want real, they want raw. I hate being in front of the camera. I hate this. I hate this.
Yeah. Me too.
Makes me sweaty, makes me blush. I don't have any makeup on. You get to see my blemishes week over week. Anyway, but you know, we want to make sure that people understand that like we're real people and we get it. You might see a cat behind me from time to time. I don't know. So then lastly, only 14% of consumers fully trust AI generated content. Most of them are cautiously optimistic, and skepticism is running the highest in like finance and health topics. So, you know, a lot of the beauty and health and finance, you know, well, who knows? The finance thing could be skewed based off of our Bitcoin people, you know, those guys, those ladies who are always popping into your inbox. But the trust is low. The trust is low with AI generated content. You've got to be careful. And I want to say here too, I don't think that this is like this. When I read it, my interpretation was not that this was limited to just images. This is content in general. So this is verbiage as well. It's copy and images. You can just tell, excuse me. You can just tell that it's like not a person. So again, I've said this before, I'll say it again. My rule of thumb is if you wouldn't say it out loud, like talking about something, if you read it out loud. If you hear it and you're like, I would never say that, then don't post that. Okay? Don't post that. You would never say it.
Yeah. And there are like keywords that AI usually like deep dive.
Delve. I just heard about Delve, and there was a TED talk where somebody just said that like 80 was that on the Google I/O thing yesterday? It might have been, but like so many more people are using the word delve.
And the hyphen.
Yeah, your M dash get you know. Look, dear journalists, you didn't use the M dash that much before. And the only thing that this thing knows how to do is M dash. And then we'll get into this too, because one of the things I want to let business owners know, because I'm not anti-AI and I'm not anti-agency. I think that agencies have a good place. We're an agency, for Christ's sake. So you know what I mean? Like right size, right agency. You can right size your agency, but you have to be careful because a lot of marketers have like sprung up, you know, influencers who now are describing themselves as marketers, and they're using AI assist, and AI assist should be assisting, but instead AI is writing everything. And to me, as someone who's neurodivergent, the patterns are just, they suffocate me. Like I love casinos, right? I love a casino. I love to go to a slot machine and like, but I hate the carpets. I hate the carpets because there are always scenes where the patterns do not meet, right? Like I am obsessed with patterns. This is my, hey, how are you doing? My name is Susan. I have ADHD and I'm autistic. Hi. So to me, the AI slop, reading that AI slop, which we're getting into this next part now, which is how to tell if your agency is using AI to write your docs, your, you know, everything, your blogs, your content. But those patterns stand out to me so much. Like, this is not just a da-da-da, it's a da-da-da. This was built for what? If you have a clothing brand, you're not building a damn thing. Built isn't the word, bruh. So Anyway, sorry. Obviously, this is like a whole lot of rants here from me. So thank you for your patience while I complain a whole lot. But it's like, I think it all does a disservice because marketing's job is building trust. And like this stuff is it just cuts trust. And what happens is then these brands are calling us and saying, like, I don't know what happened. We hired this marketing agency and they were supposed to do all this and they were supposed to build all this trust and we have nothing to show for it. And some of that is, that SEO got really easy when people thought they could just slap on 1,500 word blog articles and have AI write it with SEO focus. And now all of a sudden, like we talked about with the Google updates, Google was like, nah, get out of here. So this next part is how to tell if the agency that you're working with is using AI. So maybe you're a business who writes your own blog posts, or if you don't have blogs on your website, I'd love to talk to you about it. We need to make sure that we get ours on ours too. Just full disclosure. Some of these topics are going to turn into some blog posts, but we always put our customers first. So that's what happens. Sorry. But not everybody's as good as pattern recognition as some of us, and marketers especially, because we do this every day. We're in this every day. We read these AI, blogs. We're, it's just AI slop. And so you can't just plug an idea into an LLM, which is what your AI is. It's a large language model. It is, again, just a culmination of everything that it could have learned, and say, here's a topic I want to talk about, because it will give you something. But what that something is going to be generic, or it'll have some statistics in it that don't mean anything to the topic. It's just so obvious. And so here are some of the telltale signs. The writing is smooth, but the content says absolutely nothing. You mentioned the buzzwords. Delve, deep dive. It can be tone deaf. It can be about a really serious topic, but it is tone deaf, or an emotional topic that's tone deaf. Lots of unfactual, most of, all of our clients, most of our clients, many of ours. That means nothing. And yes, you can get the TikTokers and the Instagram marketers are going to tell you, just write a better prompt. You can write a better prompt and tell it not to use those things. You absolutely can. But the best practice for me is doing it the opposite way, where I write the damn thing and then I just ask AI to edit the damn thing. Another telltale sign is that nothing belongs to your brand or your company, right? Because if you're just going to whatever, I'm trying not to name names here, but if you're just going to the AI that you use and the large language model and you're saying, I want to write an article about said topic, or I want you to write about this, which a lot of agencies do, because the agency is not the subject matter expert. You are. So what happens is you get a whole bunch of something that has nothing to do with you. It's not specific to your company. And the only thing that's specific about your company in it is your company's name. Those are really hard. Generic advice, large language models, LLMs are going to do what LLMs are going to do. And they're not going to speak to your audience. They don't know how to speak to your platform. You can tell it about your avatar. You can give it all of these things. It can give you a decent draft, but that should be a draft. And we'll get to that too. The other one is Abiza's favorite and mine, the repeated structure. So every section looks the same. Lists are the same length. And it's like the triplets. I call them the triplets, the mixes of threes. Ba-ba. There's a cadence. I can almost hear it knocks in my head when I read it. Yeah, that's literally what happens in my brain when I read an article that's written by AI. Just you can hear
there's a flow, there's a rhythm.
And it's the same. And then it's speeds it up. And it's those threes are the things that speed it up. And then it gets back into, this isn't just a lifestyle. This is a this. And you're just I hate movie phone right now. This is terrible. And that's also on this list here. It's not X, it's Y. You're not X, you're Y. Buzzwords that no one uses. Let's delve into this. Again, if you wouldn't say it, don't let AI write it for you. It's weird. We know it's weird. And another thing that you can do to test this out is AI generator tools, grades. Pick one that gives grades. I don't know. I don't want to recommend any tools because no tool is created equal. And honestly, like I use different things for different things. Like if I'm testing content, I use one thing. If I'm testing a long form blog post, I use another. And I happen to pay for some tools that I'm getting comfortable with. But like put it through AI. I mean, I'll admit it, half the time when I write my native way and I pop it in there, it fails me. Or it tells me like 61% of this was written by AI, but like I am just an autistic person. Sorry. Sorry. But at the same time, it's like you can use those things to kind of like score and grade. So if you are working with an agency, I do recommend, and this is a topic that came up, in my professional life recently too. I do recommend that you focus on those scores. Like if you're getting back blog content or social media content and you're reviewing it and you're going, this is just, I have to edit this. I have to edit all of these. You're always going to have to edit AI content. There's not going to be a point. But if you are paying an agency, they should be human editing that content. That content should read fairly well. And the only thing you should be adjusting it for is you as the subject matter expert, because agencies don't always know your subject. They try to know it. We try to know it. We try to research you and understand your brand, your companies, what you do. But, generically, like you're a lot of businesses, a lot of businesses are very specific. They work in niches. And so if you're editing for more than just your subject matter stuff, run a grade on it and then decide what's reasonable. I mean, for me, that's like an 80% pass or fail. If you get under 80% when you run it through and it doesn't say that like this is 80% written by a human, then that's a fail to me and you have to redo it. And that you can do AI generate it, but human edit it and still end up with those results. And I think that any agencies that are heavily using AI for their writing, which my personal opinion is hire a damn copywriter. But if you are doing it that way, then at least have that copywriter go back and review it. So another thing I would recommend is when you get on a call with those agencies and you're reviewing these things or you're reviewing your numbers, ask them like, what are these numbers based on? Because AI will give you numbers. It will give you statistics. It's just generically industry. So like, what is this based on? Where did you get these from? And the other thing that you can ask is like, what did you consider or like try to rule out before you created this content? So those are just some tips on if you're working with an agency, how do you know? What do you do to mitigate? How do you score them? Helpful?
It is. Nobody's talking about this. Like, I know this stuff, obviously, because of our line of work, but there's not much of content online.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And I don't know why that is. I mean, I know there's some out there. There are some other marketers that I do watch that they'd like to talk about this stuff, but it just seems like we're really hesitant to tell on ourselves. You know what I mean? And I don't know why, but that's what it feels like.
Mm-hmm. Maybe because people might get scared of not using AI because of that, or maybe I don't know.
Yeah, and there's probably something to that. Again, like I'm not an AI hater. I write first and AI edits. So there's agencies where as long as people are disclosing it when I'm like interviewing them and talking to them, like I'm okay with like us having that discussion. But I don't think that they I don't want to say they because then I don't want to be that generic, but I have run into several consults that, that I've done over, I mean, and this even goes back 2 years when like Canva had just like installed the AI writer, the doc writer. And there were a lot of people who were like burgeoning, marketers coming out and like, I'm reading this and I'm like, what is this? Ugh. And then, to find out it's AI and be like, well, you didn't tell the client that like you weren't writing this. They assumed that you were a copywriter or have a copywriter. So it's like, for me, I'm going to write the content and then I'm going to ask AI to improve it, or I'm going to ask AI like, hey, how can I optimize this for SEO? Back in the day when I did this on WordPress or, or whatever website, we would have a little SEO tool that would basically just tell us, I can't remember what they were called, but you remember them, I'm sure. And so,
I can remember, yeah.
you know what I mean? Like you'd pull it up and it was just like a little plugin on the side and it'd be like, you need to use this phrase 3 more times. And I mean, and that's 100 years ago, it feels like now. So, I do use AI to replace that tool that I used to use. I do use it to like edit some of my grammar, but I fucking hate an Oxford comma. So I delete them. My friend Gina absolutely despises me for it, but whatever. I don't like them. In our content, sometimes it'll be in there because I don't write all of our content. Ibiza does some of that too, but I hate an Oxford comma. Get the fuck out of here. So, all right. Now, we've been talking a lot about AI. Again, I'm not an AI hater. I believe that it helps people be more productive. But there are just so many things happening that are like rules around it. So we talked about Google making all those changes, right? I told you about the March update and the February update to spam. Well, on the 15th of May, so just last week, this weekend? Oh my God, it's the 20th. So this weekend, whatever, between last week and now, Google rolled out a brand spanking new rule about spam. And so this is it was in their search spam policy. And I'll get you the links for the show notes for the stuff that I'm talking about too, some references. But it explicitly now covers attempts to manipulate the AI generated summary. So you know how like when you're Googling and you're getting that summary at the top of the screen, there have been companies that have been rolling out and like their claim to fame, their promise is like, we're going to get you featured. And so now Google has made it specifically against the rules to do anything to manipulate the AI mode or the AI overview. So the spam policy up until now was mostly about like manipulating rankings, which we know about, like you can't manipulate your ranking to get ahead, et cetera, et cetera. But the new language now covers manipulating generative AI. And this is a response to the definition of like spam. So in response to the definition of spam, it now includes manipulating generative AI responses. So Google has been really quick on this. Obviously, like they're the search engine. They're trying to maintain their placement here as our search capital of everything. So they've been quick to call out like listicles, something called recommendation poisoning, which is basically just AI. Not necessarily, mostly AI slop that just kind of was like content engineered specifically to gain what that summary will say about a company. So, people used to pay for a bunch of press releases to get all their negative news like pushed down. So think of this that way, but like you're using AI to manipulate the outcome, or you're using content and things to manipulate the outcome of that summary. And so obviously penalty here is that you get delisted from ranking or they remove you from search entirely. So, yeah.
I mean, I have a question though. I mean, does this apply also on your previous content or just after or on the 15th, starting on the
This is going to
15th?
be for everything. So if you hired a company to come in and they said like, and this is like, what does this mean for small businesses, right? And that's a great question. This is basically everything. So if your website, if you hired someone who said they could manipulate the AI summary to like recommend you more or to say different things about your company, then you may want to have that looked at. I mean, Google's crawlers, the spiders are going to get out there and they're going to start picking that stuff up. I mean, again, like the listicles and things are tactics they've already called out and they're already like reducing rankings. That's what, a big part of that was definitely in March, but this is like brand new. And so this is specifically about the AI summary and the AI overview mode. So like AI mode search and stuff like that. So if you did hire someone, because, it wasn't against the rules until now, this is like expanding. We're now expanding the definition of the word spam for the first time. Like it's just a lot of firsts. One of the jobs that I used to have, they used to say FFT, first fucking time. But you're going to be penalized for your content if it was created to do that, whether that happened last week or whether that happened last year. So go look at that, double check. And I don't have like a big, this is brand new to me too. So it's like, I'm putting it out there as a warning, but I haven't like gotten to deep dive on like what that effectively means. So maybe I'll try to follow up with a short about that when I get a little more deeper into it this week. And I did want to say, like, what does this mean for small business agencies? So to your point of visa, if in the past you've hired somebody who says, I'm going to get you in the AI overview, or I'm going to have the AI overview recommend you first. I have tricks and I've got content tricks and da 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 da. So I put in my notes, careful now, down with this sort of thing, because I love Father Ted. So I love me a little good Irish reference. But this spam, like that's a spam trick. And that can cause you visibility in search. Like it's going to cost you visibility in search. And then, Google doesn't penalize necessarily like content made with AI, but it will penalize it if it's like low effort and manipulative. If it's low effort, clearly made just to like it's slop, if it's slop to fill it up or to increase ranking, like it's going to be denigrated. You're going to get deranked or delisted. And like you can, this is the part where like AI assisted content is fine unless it's like absolutely unhelpful and its only goal is to manipulate an AI summary. So just a note, like what can I do instead? Like first person detail is the winning strategy. So real numbers, organic data. Think of yourself as a practitioner, like a practitioner's insight. And that is what is going to be most focused on by Google AI that's going to want to pull. And Gemini, I mean, I don't know if anybody saw Google I/O, which was, just out, but Gemini's getting quite smart. They're getting quite smart with that machining. So, this algorithm is getting smart, and Google's really protecting itself in all of this. And then, of course, along with that goes, the copyright conversation, which is a whole conversation. And I am not an attorney, so I don't really want to jump into it. But, again, if robots are making all of your content, be careful. You might not own it. It might get you in trouble. I mean, if your business heavily and Visa, who this impacts the most, stuff like this? It's small local businesses.
That's true.
Your plumbers, your roofers, your service-based businesses that are like super local. And I remember that like this kind of like reminds me of like Yelp, obviously when I worked there, and then, through the years as I've like assisted businesses with it. But, Yelp also, not necessarily with like the keyword strategy and stuff like that, but, when things go wrong on Yelp, like those service businesses really get hurt. And this is one of those things where like you can have somebody come in and promise you the world. They can promise you all of this stuff, and they're going to get you listed first, and they're going to get your listing up there first, and they're going to do all this, and then what you don't know will kill you. So like for me, when I think about this, I'm thinking less about like I'm thinking about like the pool companies that are up against other pool companies locally, where they hired some tactical SEO company or somebody that they found on Fiverr, because let's be real, that's an affordable platform, and not everybody on Fiverr is a scammer. Okay. Some of them are. And also some people didn't know that this would become illegal later. So it doesn't have to be like the bad guy in the house syndrome. Like we didn't, people who have done this, like the stacking and that stuff. I maybe they didn't know. I'm cynical about it. Obviously I have my own opinions. Like maybe they didn't know. We didn't know this was going to become illegal. We didn't know that spam was going to get an expanded, definition. So, but I when I think about this specific, like when I think about Google expanding the search spam, the first thing that comes to mind for me is small businesses locally, where people are running to Google and saying best plumber in, my city.
Near me.
Yeah, best plumber near me, and that stuff. And like, if you were getting accustomed to being like recommended in AI search, and you'd hired some company who boosted you, you might have to go and look what they did.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know, and I'm going on forever. So how does all that land with you, Abiza? Is it making sense? Things that you're curious about?
It does. I mean, especially because some small businesses, they don't treat marketing as an important factor in building their business. And so if they are not aware of this, like they're so excited that they have a tool to finally publish content consistently, but then if it costs them their business itself, then it's never gonna help. Like at the end of the day, it's you have to build your business with the long term in mind, like long run in mind. So yeah, that's my
And
thoughts
for a
are.
lot of small businesses, you're right. Like they don't think about marketing as an investment. or they see it as a cost center, right? Not to say that they don't think that marketing will work, but they're like, when I'm building out my, my QuickBooks business categories, marketing is going right into my cost centers instead of, maybe your cost of goods sold or whatever. I'm not an accountant. Don't listen to me. But it should be considered an investment. And, you got people like me who my whole job is to know these rules. Like I don't want to tell you how many hours I spend researching every week. It's an embarrassing number, but needless to say, it's a part-time job. That's almost a full-time job some weeks when things are really happening.
Sometimes she doesn't sleep.
I don't, and I'm getting too old for that. So, but like keeping up with this stuff is my whole job. And it's just like, I mean, I'm not even done yet. Like, I'm not even done this episode yet. We've still got, a couple more things to cover. And then I want to give people some tips on how to avoid the trap. But like, it is exciting. And I watched, I was working for someone and I watched him get very excited about like using AI to like create product designs and stuff like that. And it's like, whoa, buddy, you can't copyright anything now that you're selling. Now it doesn't matter that you've trademarked your name. Because if your name is on something that you created with AI, you don't own that. And, then the other thing is like, you're right. They're excited because they have this tool to help them with this marketing and it fits into their budget. And they're like, great, I pay $20 for this tool and I can just go in and tell it what to do. But then, the risk is your trust, the people's trust in your business, because they see it. They know that you haven't invested in it. And also it doesn't know how to sell your customer. That's not what it knows how to do. And I know that, people are just like, oh, I'm just gonna, I read a horror story on someone's LinkedIn the other day about this person who went and they, like this girl researched the tagline. She went to the UX department and she talked to them and, she's working with the customers. She's, looking through the feedback loop. She's checking on what the win back campaigns say. She comes forward with this whole campaign and the owner then says, I want to get a better tagline, runs it through ChatGPT and runs a tagline that was unresearched because I wasn't supposed to say the name of it, but, for example, sorry, runs it through an AI model and then is like, oh, we're going to use this one instead. And then the campaign flops, but you didn't test the campaign that she built. You tested the campaign that you then like trusted a machine who doesn't understand emotions to do. Marketing is emotional selling. Like we have to know it.
Psychology. It's a psychology.
It is. So anyway, but for those small business owners, be careful. Be careful. And this is where I'll plug myself. We're not done yet, but book a consult with us if you're not sure. If anything that I just said sounds scary or you think you hired someone who did something like that, you can have 45 minutes for free for a limited time. With us, I will take a look. I will do a little, we can spend the 45 minutes talking about whatever you want. But you can also pay for a bigger audit and we can kind of figure out what happened there. So just as a note, you're not alone in this.
And also maybe they should reconsider thinking that marketing is really part of your business. It's not something that you have to really invest on your marketing also.
You do. And there are right size fits for all of that. So, the biggest thing I hear is like, it's going to cost me $10,000. Yeah. Some marketing campaigns are going to do that. Depends on what it includes, but some can be far, far less expensive, far more reasonable. So, and most of the time marketers are people who like to help. So like, talk to us. We can work with you.
Yeah.
So you ready? Because let me tell you what, there's nothing I love more in the tech industry. I got to stretch for this one. Nothing I love more in the tech industry than acronyms I didn't fucking want to learn. But guess what? We've got new acronyms, my guy. Here we are. So the new acronyms that we have are HITL. HITL. What do you think it means?
Hi,
don't
internet.
cheat on those notes.
I'm just kidding. Hi, internet. I don't know.
That's fair. So in relation to AI, HITL is now human in the loop. And what that means is that a human is authorizing the action before it is executed. So high risk decisions are being sourced to a human. So, if you have AI that's getting ready to do financial disbursements, which people love, having AI bookkeepers now, or sending out legal contracts. Now there's an HITL, and human in the loop, who's going to review that before it is executed so that they're still accountable. Because guess what you can't do to AI? Hold it accountable.
That's true.
And then there's one more. HOTL. HOTL. And that is human on the loop, which is different because that is that AI acts autonomously while a human monitors and can intervene after. So this is, you're using AI generated content, you're posting it, and then the next day you're the business owner and you're going, oh my God, that's egregious, we gotta get rid of it. So, low risk scenarios. So HITL, HOTL. I think these are going to be some new job descriptions that we're going to probably see coming down the line. So if you need a HITL or a HOTL, which I think people are saying, but that's what I'm going to say now. Let us know. I'm sorry, I laughed too loud.
Ad strategist who is a hittle.
HITL, HOTL. I want to be a HOTL.
Yeah.
Not because it's after the fact, but because I want to be HOTL.
Uh-oh.
So
Yeah.
my things here, my human way of saying this here is like, AI is not your strategist. And if it is, you have done it wrong. You are the strategist. And if you don't have the strategy, then hire a strategist. AI cannot set your goals. Like get the strategist, have them set the goals, have them determine the audience and the intent before AI gets involved. AI shouldn't decide what your business is trying to achieve. It doesn't know. It is not smart. And then have an expert check the damn work. Get subject matter experts, someone who actually knows the subject matter. And if that's you, that's great. But don't just trust AI to do anything. Get yourself a HITL or a HOTL.
Right.
All right. I feel like we need like cheers and jeers. We've reached the part where I'm going to tell you how to avoid the trap. At least my recommendations on avoiding the trap.
Yeah.
And I did try to keep this kind of simple. It's like 5 things. So before we jump into that, anything else, Ibiza? Anything else you want to call out? What did I miss? What is still confusing?
No, you're good. I mean, thank you for saying this acronyms that we don't really
HITLs and HOTLs. Look, you're going to remember that forever. HITL, human in the loop. HOTL, HOTL, human on the loop. I get it.
You heard it first here.
I hate it, but I get it. That was my least favorite part of working at the big blue box was that like it feels like another language because you just speak in acronyms. And so actually I worked with you shortly after I got out of that. And so if you remember, I wouldn't let anybody use an acronym. Or if you did, you had to like stop and explain it. And actually, I carried that into a lot of other jobs because we'd be on these calls with like the whole team, and there would just be like someone DMing me going, "What does TLDR mean?" It was just a slew of acronyms. Obviously, TLDR is too long, don't read. Which, by the way, if you put TLDR on something, then like, why did you fucking write it?
Exactly.
I would never. Everything that I do is long. Read it. Anyway, I digress. But so we'd be on these calls and like, you need an interpreter for them. So whenever a new acronym comes through, I'm just like, of course, but I hate it. So HITLs and HOTLs. So all right, here we go. You're a business owner. You're running your own marketing. You're doing your best. How do you avoid falling into this trap, which is expensive? So number 1, AI should be in the production phases, not in the spotlight. So do not use it. If you're going to use it to draft, fine. I think the better still is that you draft something and ask AI to edit it. I know that's, people are just like, that's the more expensive version. It is, but also authenticity sells. People are starving for real things. So I recommend that. But what you want to make sure that you don't do is do not have AI releasing the work that's touching the end user until it has been reviewed by you or reviewed by a human being. That means content, that means copy, that means graphics. You know, it's like letting someone who doesn't speak your language or understand feelings write content that's supposed to make people feel. It just doesn't make sense. So keep AI in the production phases, not in the delivery. Edit real photos. Edit real photos of real people. Buy the damn photos or take a picture of yourself or your friend or a consenting coworker or consenting employee. Please, please do not ask the AI bots to make you a person and then release that into the world as content. It's going to cost you money. Abiza, you shared a note with me when we were talking about this, about a resource that you can use.
Yeah, I mean, if you do not have the budget to buy photos, there's a free website. There's a website that you can get free photos and videos. It's pexels.com or even pixabay.com. So I'll link it in the show notes.
Awesome. Yeah. Don't just please don't use AI. Don't make AI generate people anymore. And then next, number 3 is don't skip the human review. A real person should be designated and accountable to read the captions, to look at every creative, to make sure that the things that you're putting out are staying human. Don't skip it. The 4th thing, if AI has helped you, be in the habit of disclosing it. Disclose when AI helps. Transparency is becoming the law. It's becoming the expectation. People are tired of feeling tricked. So it's going to get worse. So get in the habit of just disclosing when AI did the work for you. And then the 5th thing I put down here is let people handle the complex conversations. This is going to that chatbot piece, right? Let people handle your complex conversations, apologies, judgment calls, strategy. This is where you build or lose trust. And your business really depends on it. And I know that a lot of people are going on about how an AI bot saved a sale or ran a win back. But as we move into, and obviously that's just in the EU for now, but you know, the EU leads in a lot of this stuff and it ends up over here too. So let people handle those complex conversations. Don't bamboozle your customers, your clients, your end users. Don't bamboozle them. Business really depends on it, man. We're just in such a vacuum of lost trust right now. So I know that one's a little heavy, and I know that people, you know, have enjoyed like the levity and kind of the fun, the wild, wild west of all of this, but that's starting to be regulated. You've really got to start thinking about this stuff. So that's kind of where I leave it. I say, you know, those are my 5 tips to avoid the trap. And I want to remind everyone, like, AI can write your marketing in seconds. I know that. But it can't learn or earn a stranger's trust. That earning a stranger's trust has always been the actual job of marketing. That's what we do. And AI can't do that for you.
For sure. I mean, in this era where you find a lot of AI content, I think it's easier for us to even create unique content because our story, our the stories that we tell, those are the things that can resonate to our clients, right? So for me, this is the best time for you to have a unique and quality content. For me, it's easier because before we are we have to keep up with the trends. We have to do this according to this kind of aesthetic. I remember the time that there were all of the social media aesthetics were like brown, nude color, so something like that. But yeah, like because just because the algorithm prioritizes or incentivizes that kind of aesthetic. So I feel like today in this era, it is great that we can give them our story, tell them our story to really resonate with our clients. And with that, it helps us build the know, trust, and like factor, right? And it could mean that our business would, translate to website visits, to sale, right? So yeah, and uh, for me, my conclusion would be that we have to build our business the way we do it before, like, without all this AI slop. So yeah, build it kind of from scratch, like our stories that we can tell, our own experience that may resonate to our audiences. So yeah.
I love that. That's really smart. And if you're not a great storyteller, then the thing that you would ask AI is, hey, how do I order this story? Not how do I tell it? Because how
Mm-hmm,
you tell it is yours.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I love
Yeah.
that. Really good tip. And we do have to market like we did before. And we do just have to like be yourself. Be
Mm.
yourself.
Yeah, that's the reason why we have this. And as you've noticed, this is like the episodes that we have is it might look like a lazy edit, but that's what actually is booming now in YouTube. Like there are content, there are channels that are really, there's no high production edits. So that's what we're doing right now, and we're sharing our own story, our own experience with our clients. And yeah, so thank you so much. We've gone this far, and thank you for listening. So do you have any other things to share, Susan?
No, I mean this was a really long one. I'll end where we started. Stop fucking using AI for everything. All right. It's not supposed to do everything. And you think that everyone is using it, but very
Mhm.
it's a really small percentage of people who actually are. And even in that category, 30+% of them don't trust your AI content. So stop it. Think about it. Pull back. You don't need to post 7 days a week. You can make 3 really impactful posts that are honest, organic, that you built. So yeah. And the only
Um,
thing else I would say is if you don't know where you're at or you need help, we only want to work with people that we like. So if you like us and you're watching this and you say, I need help with my marketing, I like what these guys say, head to our website, sterlingscalability.com, and book the 45. We'll link that in the show notes too.
awesome. And also, if you have questions in mind or any topics that you want us to discuss, feel free to email us. Hello at sterlingscalability.com. All right.
Yeah,
So
otherwise everybody's just going to keep learning about whatever I'm researching for the week.
love this conversation. Okay. So that's all.
Ta-da!
We're done now. Bye.
We did
See you next
it.
week.
See you next week.